Hey, good morning, traders. This is my morning brief video. So it's all Tesla this morning and Bitcoin. Bitcoin is up a massive amount this morning, on our way to 125,000 probably here, 88,000 on Bitcoin this morning. So quite a bit of upside potential here on Bitcoin. So heads up on that this morning. Things happening on Tesla. We know Tesla is a big. We do have quite a bit of Bitcoin on Tesla's books. Plus, you got the uh, uh, Trump rally situation because his big support of Trump on so be very mindful of that. One thing I want to point out here, uh, right here, right there. What's this over here? You see this real long wick here on the weekly time frame. We're currently trading around the 152 area this morning here on our 352 area here on Tesla this morning. It's that really long wick right there. Okay, so this is actually a weekly fair value gap. I don't have it drawn out that way. It's that very weekly fair value gap with another weekly fair value gap right above that. So we're into what potentially is a big resistance area for Tesla. Two big fair value gaps right back to back, right above us right here. Now, if you come down, 1 second. Now, if you step down on your daily, you see the fair value gap. See, it doesn't really show up the same on the fair value gap. It's a much tighter fair value gap on the daily. But my point is, typically, whenever you have a big fair value gap scenario on the weekly, and it steps down to a smaller fair value gap on the daily and even smaller time frames, that suggests you have a big resistance area that you have to plow through with the bigger time frames. What you ideally want for a sustained move is the opposite, where the weekly time frames have smaller fair value gaps or equal, as close to equal as you can as the daily, suggesting that there was only like one day that week, suggesting a big sell down. So we basically have a multi-day sell down on the weekly at this price point in the past, uh, giving us resistance here. So I would make the argument we're probably into some major resistance here on Tesla. So be very mindful of that. Okay. So we've had this nice consolidation happening here on Bitcoin. We're in a breakout scenario, cup and handle scenario. So basically, we're looking for the minimum, the most. This here is the most conservative view. Is the cup breakout the distance? So that puts us up to 10,000. Okay, potential 10,000 here with just the cup breakout. Okay, so be very mindful of that. That would be our conservative view. Now, the more traditional view would be right there is the back test right there. And this would put us up to 12,500 basically. 120,500 would be the traditional cup breakout here for the uh, Bitcoin. So there's a bunch of traders that are targeting that 125,000 possibility here for Bitcoin. So be very mindful of that, what the traders are expecting here. But this is a maturing equity. The conservative view is very much valid. Okay, so be very mindful of that. Okay, because this is such a maturing uh, instrument. Okay, another way of doing this, you got your Bollinger Band with the 20 SMA. You can actually take from the 20 SMA to your current Bollinger and do a measured move from that right there. See, that's actually putting us right up into that 120 some thousand too. So there's two different methods there suggesting we're probably heading to 100, 120,000, 125,000 here for the Bitcoin. So two different approaches trying to come up with the a similar argument here. So be very mindful of that. Another thing that I was looking at this morning, uh, this MSTR is just on fire. Man, look at that thing go. Wow. Okay. So we do have a cup handle. The handles is almost as big as the cup. So we didn't have much, it's really a solid consolidation there. Right there would be the top of the cup. Okay. That'd be the top. So you can actually do from down here on this time frame off that wick right there. So you see how we've really just exploded above the cup and handle on this one. Absolutely exploded. So ultimately on a pullback, you're looking for 260 to become new support. Okay. We're at 340 now. So this could be, you know, a momentum stock that, just out of the blue would happen to dry up the momentum. But you would be looking for a 260 to become new support on this thing, in my opinion, in that scenario. Okay, and it's kind of amazing today. Bitcoin up the way it is, and we actually have MicroStrategist down. So be mindful of that. Uh, we're below yesterday's close, despite having a massive uptick in Bitcoin this morning. That's a warning to us. Okay, coin's having a good day today. That's another head and shoulders. We're at 340 this morning. Really not. But that is a head and shoulders potential too. So you would be looking at on the monthly here. If you want to just follow the momentum here, it's targeting 420 now, back to all-time highs. Potentially targeting 420. This does make a lot of sense to me. Nvidia this morning is down a little bit. Palantir is down a little bit this morning. I'm actually surprised to see so many of these crypto names actually down from yesterday's close. So be very mindful of that. You're getting the Bitcoin big squeeze this morning, but the actual uh, exchange or a lot of the crypto names are actually down on this breakout. Okay. Another thing I was looking at here, IWM this morning. I don't want this time frame daily. Yeah, daily. What I wanted to point out here, guys, we got 240.44. Okay, this is no, weekly is what I was wanting. I'm sorry. There we go. My point is, we're right into these highs, prior highs. So we have a double topping situation on the weekly. Okay, with a gap below us. IWM is notorious for filling its gaps. So be very mindful of that. Quite notorious to fill the gaps. So I am thinking IWM, there is a very good odds that we are going to break the weekly low here on IWM to fill the downside gap. And you see this channel we're in, and that's the median of the channel. So be very mindful of that. Very risky to be taking IWM to the upside. And like I said, the low for the week is 139.85 or 239.85. We are basically, basically 70 cents. This time in the morning, we're 70 cents from the week low, and with that gap right below us here. So be very mindful. I would be very concerned taking the long side today. Where's my 1 hour chart or 30, even a 30-minute? I'd be very concerned that this gap fill right here is quite in play for today. Wait a minute, we're 16. There it is. There you go. I would think there's a really good chance that that gap fill is in play at the very least in today's session. So be very mindful of that scenario going forward here. We're into a 30-minute fair value gap, which we're uh, we're already testing lows early on this morning on the smaller time frame. I generally, if I'm looking for fair value gaps, I'm looking for the 2-hour minimum. Let's see if there's any. That's my minimum fair value gap back test or backfill. So here we are in the 2-hour. We are potentially breaking the 20 SMA on the 2-hour and testing, possibly breaking our first fair value gap. Potentially, there's two things here early on, 5 o'clock in the morning, giving us a warning of downside bearish setups here. So be very mindful there. Getting two bearish signals here on IWM. If it was live trading right here, right now, I would be taking the short right here. So if this was live trading right now, okay, because of that 2-hour setup. Same thing, 2-hour setup. So we have been spending most of the yesterday's trading below the 2-hour 20. This was a bearish setup all day yesterday because we were below the 20 on the 2-hour. As long as we stayed below, which we did all day, that was a bearish. So this was a swing short most of the day yesterday. And here we are. We do have a fair value gap right below us here. And we're still holding above it early on this morning. So it's not quite as bearish as IWM. So that's a fair value gap. Ideally, if we were already coming into the bottoms of that, I'd just be getting excited about the short side, but we haven't broken that, and it goes all the way back over to here. So we are holding support so far on the Qs, SPY, but this is the primary analysis early in the morning, what I look for here. And SPY this morning. So we do have, like I said, we're holding yesterday's fair value gap right there on that wick, the 2-hour fair value. So we're holding that as well. This one here is looking more bearish. We got a squeeze pattern going on here. It is looking more bearish. If we lose this fair value gap, then there's a really good chance we'd be looking for this right here. This is the next level I'd be looking for right there. So that right there would be my next target to the downside. And I had tried to trade the 596 puts yesterday, and I eventually got stopped out on them. But it looks like the 596s are going to go in the money, in my opinion, today. We'll see what happens, see how it all plays out. And ultimately, we do have a channel support fair value gap, I would say, right here. Ultimately, that would be my target if we start breaking today. This would be my initial target right down here. So it put us back down into around the 590, 590.50, something like that. This could be because of that squeeze going on there. You're looking, you put your fib extensions on that. The width of the break. Okay, so this squeeze is actually targeting the bottom of right here. So, that would be the conservative approach. 593.80. Okay, that would be your conservative approach on the break. So be very mindful of that. That would be the minimum, most conservative approach on a break. Typically, you get 2 times on a squeeze. You're typically looking for a 2 times move on the break. So be very mindful of that. If you do it, one way of doing that, just do your fib extension. Okay, see where that's landing? A 2 times move, that puts us right down into that next target, like I said, and it puts it back into the channel high. So heads up on that, okay? So that's a couple things. Now, reason I was bearish yesterday. 1 second. So my quick and dirty analysis using anchored VWAP. So this was the Sunday night anchored VWAP open. So this around 10 p.m. Sunday night, I start getting prints using this study. There's a better anchored VWAP study out there, but I haven't found anybody that's willing to sell it to me or give it to me for Thinkorswim. Hopefully, I can get it. It's better for intraday trading, but I haven't been able to get it yet. But at any rate, so we were. If I zoom in here yesterday morning, 30 minutes. So 30 minutes. What was the time frame? So at 9:30 yesterday morning, we were already trying to break below that anchored view app. Okay. So we were trying to break down below this Sunday anchored view app. This thing actually migrated down a little bit. On the 4 hour, it's a little bit off versus the smaller time frames. But generally, I anchor it off the 4 hour. Okay. I like that better. Okay. But we were already trying to push below that right out of the open yesterday. So I was actually looking to the bearish side as we were start kicking off the week, trying to break the anchored VWAP wall right out of the gate. So typically, a lot of times, that's a really good early indicator how they want to start the week if you're trying to break that anchored VWAP wall to start the week. And this is also a trend line right here. We were coming into that trend line right out of the gate there Monday as well. Extend to the right. It just took a little while to get it going here. So it wasn't until the 1 o'clock time frame that we actually started breaking. We broke that trend line around 1 o'clock yesterday. Okay, so heads up on that. So breaking that current anchor, that told us that the momentum was shifting to the bearish side, that we could not maintain prices above that current Sunday night opening anchored VWAP. Okay. NQ. Similar situation. Our anchored VWAP. I mean, we were 9 o'clock in the morning. We rejected that. This was giving us a really bearish signal right out of the gate Monday. And I mean, delve down even closer here. What time frame was that? So 9 o'clock, 9:15. So 9:15 candle broke away from that anchored VWAP, and we couldn't even get back up and tag it. We haven't even tagged it here on the at all since we broke. So this was actually giving us a much more bearish signal in the markets here on the NQs. So that was actually giving us a bearish signal as well. And then the Russell was actually acting more bullish yesterday morning. We were trading above the anchored VWAP wall. There it is, current anchored VWAP, and we're just finally coming back down into it today. The anchored VWAP wall. So this is a major back test. So technically, this is by the dip on the Russell, but Russell notoriously fills its gaps. This is not something that I personally want to take to the long side. I think there's a lot of reason to think that there's more money coming out of the market early on this morning. Okay. Just my quick and dirty take. What's going on in the markets? I fell on the job yesterday, so I'll be in and out today. Probably some live session over in my Discord. Bottom line is I twisted my ankle, I busted my knee, and I threw a disc out in my back. So it was a bad day. Please like the video if you like it. Retweet me on Twitter, Gumby9662C, and leave some comments below on the YouTube channel if you get a chance, if you're seeing something that I'm not. Ultimately, I really do not want to be a net long in this market. And remember, guys, we were trading above monthly 100-year trend resistance yesterday morning. Okay, so typically what we've been doing, this trend line we're trading against, it was all monthly wicks. Any value above the trend line was just monthly wicks, suggesting that we were going to be coming back down into or below this. So that was giving us another potential sell signal that everybody and their brother had gotten net long in the markets, and we had spent the last time we got into that price point, we had spent 3 months into that resistance area, suggesting that we could actually be consolidating sideways. The bullish scenario, we're probably consolidating sideways for 2 or 3 months here, right into this resistance. So be very mindful. Like I said, 100-year trend line that we're currently in here around the 6,000. And I personally, I cannot go long here. I absolutely can't do it. I mean, I can make the case to be long, but I cannot, as a perma bear, I cannot be long personally. So each of you can do whatever you want, but I just can't do it. Okay. Thanks a lot.